like to present an idea here, and it actually may sound good, may make sense, but I think I could probably get a lot of slack for it, maybe. But how attraction is an illusion, and I think some people might get slack to this because an attraction is a very good appeal, and when I'm talking about attraction, this could be applied to anything actually, but I'm definitely applying it to just human nature. When we're us as humans, we're attracted to another person, and usually the form of attraction I'm talking to is definitely the superficial, outer context of how we're viewing another person. Like, wow, they're hot, or they're sexy, or they're attractive, or whatever words we give that relate to this is the idea of how I'm going to say it's completely an illusion. And I know some people could say, yeah, that's true, and of course we don't want to read a book by its cover, and they can apply all this helpful ways of interpreting this, but the reality is, are we lying to ourselves? Right? The reality is, like, no matter what viewpoint you could have about this, even if you agreed, the reality really is, like, do you really live according to that, or do you just believe it? Do you just think it? Do you just acknowledge it? There's just so many variations to how we could view one thing, and this one thing in particular is no different. And just like how we could view anything in any particular way, do you actually live by it? Do you live by that viewpoint? Not to say you become like totally immersed in like having to act and feel and think and behave in such a way that supports anyone's idea, but when I say do you live by it, it's almost like a value. It's almost like it's an important aspect to your life that maybe you don't necessarily daily have to follow it, meaning it's not like you think about it, or you rehearse it in your mind, or you have to talk about it. That's what I mean by following it. But instead, you follow it by it's important to you, like a value of telling the truth. Some people, depending on who they are, everyone's going to have their own interpretation of what it means to tell the truth and what's acceptable or not, as far as white lies or being flexible, or to whom you're saying the truth to, and what the truth is about. All these contexts within it, and to each is their own. But the reality is, what's your way of following what is the truth, right? What does it mean to tell the truth to you? Because it's your unique, individual experience of that helps you to determine where you stand on it. And maybe people haven't really thought about what does it mean to tell the truth, or maybe they haven't thought about it in a while. Whatever the case is, you can relate this to anything. What do you follow as, like, you could say it's like your end-all be-all thing, or like a golden rule, or something that you refer to as like, this is important to me. And so when I relate it to attraction, I don't know if a lot of us are actually perceiving attraction to a degree, such as it being like a rule or a way, or something that's in a way become a part of our existence. Whereas like the idea of honesty, or telling the truth, or any ideas that are of like a value and like a value system, such as someone saying, hey, my values are, I want to treat people with respect. I want, people who you are supposed to be important to you in your life. There's loyalty. You're loyal to them, and they're loyal to you. And what does that even mean? We want to maybe have a value of, and not to say we want to. I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth. To each is their own, whatever your values are. But I'm just trying to give an idea and relate to this, that maybe to you, you believe in like how you speak, right? Maybe that's valuable to you. I want to use words a certain way. I want to, I don't believe in just talking any way I want. Maybe you do value that, or maybe it's you see these values, they could just be a thought. It could be a thought. It could be something you thought about. It could be something that maybe you're taught, but it's not necessarily a way you live. Meaning, you could use a value as a way you live, where it's not completely dysfunctional, and it's just like, no, if this ever was to appear, it's important to me enough that even on the spot of it occurring, so this is how I'm integrating it to be like a part of your life. It's like, no, you just lied. And you know where I stand on this, right? No matter what anyone else's interpretation of a lie is, you have yours, they have theirs. And what I'm saying is, what do you live by? Right? So with this whole attraction piece, what do you live by? Have you ever really thought of how people are attractive, or what you want to, what type of like value you put upon that, and how does that interpret your ability to think and feel and behave? Because there's no doubt, here's the thing with human nature, there's going to be something very natural that occurs, that whether you want to have control over it or not is one thing, but there is definitely innate aspects to this human condition that occur and are going to be the way they are without us trying. And we could even throw and add on to that with, well, depends on what you were brought up to believe and blah, 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 blah. And you could add anything added onto this to help create this construct of like what creates our idea of what's attractive to ourselves when it comes to human attraction, being attracted to somebody. Regardless of what creates that, it's there. Right? The problem is when this becomes, I like to say, it will determine who you are with another person. And anyone could say, nothing determines who I am when I'm with another person. But the reality is, if what I'm saying is true, then what you may find is you talk to people differently based off how you're attracted to them or how attractive they are. You talk to them differently. Think about that. Think about that. Just talking to somebody. You may think differently. Maybe even in your own head, think differently. You might think differently about them. You might think differently of the type of person they are, just because of the way they look. And I know we could apply it to people who aren't attractive, and we're also thinking of them a certain way. But I say the attraction part because this is definitely impairing our judgment to be the type of human that we could actually be. Because the reality we're perceiving is definitely being guided by this instinctive nature, and where maybe we want to like somebody more. Now think about this for a second. Liking somebody for who they are, or liking someone because of how attractive they are. And sometimes we base how we like them as a person based off how they look, which might sound insane, and many people could say, no, that's not insane. That's the truth. People do judge and do place value and worth and consideration of the type of person that other people are simply based off the way they look. And this can be branched off in so many different areas that we do similar actions and functions and behaviors, especially with like discrimination. And in a way, this is discrimination, right? Generally, we look at like discrimination as like, we judge them based on the way they look, and maybe we place a false value upon them, like they're not capable, or they can't do this, or discriminate their age or discriminate their, ethnicity or, discriminate their gender or whatever it is. And it happens. I understand. I understand it. It's not easy. But this is why this becomes so complicated, because what I was trying to do is relate earlier. Is this a way you live? Is this a way you live, or is it not a way you live? If you have a value that is so damn important to you, all right, and it's just natural in your life, for whatever created that value, it is what it is. But you are aware when, that's like taken advantage of. You're aware when that's being challenged. You're aware when it's like almost non-existent. And it's like, wait a second. This is supposed to be friggin' important to me. So all I'm saying is how we view other people important to you? In pretty much the same context of like a pretty damn important value to you that you would live your life by. And what I'm trying to say is, if this isn't important to you to that degree, it's not that, it holds no value. It's just not valuable enough that you need to consider all the intricacies that's involved in this to help possibly, realize that maybe there's a lot of dysfunction and there's a lot of biasness that's going on that's causing ourselves to behave, think, and feel differently than we actually could be behaving, thinking, and feeling if we actually had more of a hold on this value. That if this was valuable enough, you know what? Just because someone's attractive, it doesn't mean you need to be liked by them. And it doesn't also then mean, because some people will do this, we want to be liked by people who are attractive, especially if it's a guy and like a girl who is very attractive, or they're pretty attractive, and they're like, oh man, I need to act, I need to think, I need to behave, I need to feel a certain way, or it's just instinct, it's like not really consciously thought of, it just occurs, and people don't realize they're changing who they are because of another person. So what happens also under this context, which becomes very toxic, some people, because we're judging them in a very positive way, which is the irony, because judgments a lot of times are negative, which then also kind of creates confusion, because it's like, we're not judging them. No, you are. You're making them seem like they're this special or more capable or more better person when they're really not. And what happens as a side effect to that, also, in addition to everything I'm going to mention, is that we change ourselves to accommodate what we are perceiving to be of value, but that which we're perceiving to be of value is unhealthy and is dysfunctional and is toxic. And anyone can say, I don't care. Then that's up to you, and you could not care, and you could not make any of this important. It doesn't matter. And it's not to say you should make this important. What I'm trying to say is, when this becomes a way we live, and we're not realizing that maybe even one day you just want to develop a very meaningful relationship. Well, it's not going to be meaningful if that's how you start it. Because what we base our relationships on is the foundation. And it's not to say that couldn't change, right, into a very meaningful relationship. So I don't want to make it seem like it's an end-all be-all type of thing, because that's reality. Everything's unpredictable. But we can create predictability based off how we go about something, because we're in charge. Not our minds, not like our emotions, and not our actions. We're in charge. We can determine that. Until we start to realize that that stuff is actually in control, and we put a pause on it and say, wait a second, why am I behaving differently around a person I don't even really know that well? I don't know what they think. I don't know what they feel. I don't know who they really are. And the saddest truth is, even though we get to know people that supposedly we think are attractive, they're a very unhealthy person, and we never even get to realize that. And we'll put up a viewpoint of like, no, that's not true, because we're very insecure. We're insecure of being alone. We're insecure of not being liked by people, especially attractive people. We're insecure by being like, this problem now. It's like, oh man, like all this stuff could occur, and it's like we wouldn't even consider that, which is the main reason why we'll support dysfunctionality. We'll support toxicity. We'll support, not being treated properly. We'll also support, even if none of that is existing, somebody else who's quite dysfunctional, and we just start to get annoyed about that. But no, we'll keep it like that. It's not necessarily having a direct impact on us, but consistently when things occur, especially if we ignore them and there's a thing that we're bothered by, we're annoyed by, whatever it may be, maybe just somebody, always has a chip on their shoulder. Well, you might think, who cares? Why are we going to be petty? Well, you're not being petty. This happens every day. This happens most of the time. So you can see everyone's going to have their own interpretation of what is a bother to them and what they're going to say is sensitive and not sensitive. Everyone has their own interpretation, and you're entitled to that because that's how you've experienced life, to be able to have your own interpretation. But the reality is it dysfunctional? When we start thinking in contradiction to what really is really important to us. And what starts to happen is we don't realize we're attracted to people without giving them a fair shot. We're not giving them a fair shake. And because of that, we're also not giving ourselves that in return. You can't. You can't give yourself a fair shot. A fair, like, this is me. Let me see you. No, you're not able to do that because you're going at it the way you're going at it. That's not helpful in these ways. So the reality is we want what we want. We like what we like. And that distorts how we're going to behave and how we're going to think and how we're going to feel. Just because of that alone. And we're not realizing so many depths that could actually be realized, such as, do you really enjoy being in their company? No, honestly, just honestly, in all honesty, do you just enjoy being in their company? Because you could enjoy being in anyone's company. You find someone you could say, I enjoy being in their company. Do you enjoy being in their company or not? Do you look at them as a very unique human with who they are? That separates them from anyone that could even be attractive? That they're their own unique person, such as how they speak, how they, roll their tongue with certain words. How their lips and their tongue combine with their vocal cords to create not only their type of sound, but their specific mannerisms of how their mouth moves. And I know that may sound like pretty like simplistic and stupid, maybe like why would you even look at that? Who cares? But the idea, I'm trying to give examples of, we're not looking at somebody in their of their uniqueness. We're looking at them for their attraction. We're not giving them the benefit of the doubt that there's so much more that could be considered. And because of that, none of it's really considered. And even if it was, it wouldn't be to a degree because we have this attraction that's there instead. What if one day they become unattractive? Then what? Just saying. For whatever reason. And there could be a horrible circumstance that occurs. Or it doesn't matter. Was love really there? Was the type of person who you were always there? Or now that changes? You don't treat them the same way. Because you didn't realize that their attraction in a way enabled you to be a certain type of way, which maybe isn't really the you that you would want to be, but it's the you that you want to be when there's attraction. Your personality might have been more perked up and more spontaneous and more, you could say, even extroverted to a degree. Like, I'm more alive when I'm with someone that's so attractive, and I'm so attracted to them, and I find that so, like, almost debilitating. I can't even breathe. And it's like, that's beautiful. There's no doubt. You know, I think there's so much consideration to consider the attraction of another person and us feeling attracted to them. There's a lot of beauty there. There's a lot of importance. You know, there's a lot of, like, congruency with, like, well, maybe we should look into that, you know, and support that. But it becomes quite dysfunctional when we change ourselves. And it's sad because we can consider a relationship healthy because we're together with someone and we have children, or we've been together for a long time, or we're building this relationship. But we don't actually look at them much differently than someone else we could be attracted to. Which shows you your depth of really having any meaningful connection with them. That's out of love, compassion, you know, like emotional congruency with, like, these deep-rooted, there's something really meaningful about this person that I love, something very unique about them, and I can mention some of their unique qualities. That's not really existent. When you could look at your partner and say, well, they're attractive, I'm very attracted to them, and they're hot, they're sexy, whatever it is, but the other reality is, look at all the other people I'm attracted to. And pretty much the same way. And there's other people I'm going to be more attracted to. You can't lie about that. That would be you'd be inaccurate. Because there's always going to be people we're always attracted to on a superficial level. That's reality. That's like the design of human nature. Just be attracted. Be attracted to what you're attracted to. That's good. The attraction doesn't care what you actually feel. It's going to find someone else that's attracted to somebody else anyway. So you're just like a pawn in this game of, like, reproduction. Doesn't matter. But that's the whole reality. Because it doesn't matter, we make it matter so damn important that we forget what's important to us. We forget what's the connection between you and me, and me and you, that's not about attraction. Do our personalities get along? Do our morals and values line up? Do I find your way of being quite toxic and manipulative? And the saddest truth is, when we're attractive as a person, not everyone has the same level of attraction, and there's different things that we can call attractive. I'm just talking about skin surface only. There's emotional attraction, there's intellectual attraction, there's sociability, attraction. There's how hard somebody works attraction. There's all these types of attraction. I'm just talking about the very superficial quality. And those could be superficial too, to a degree. But the reality is, we don't look at all these other things. We look at, I'm attracted to you. And you're attracted to me. Well, what are my emotions about you? And what are your emotions about me? And besides that, when we are attractive as a human, if we were to say, yeah, I'm a pretty attractive person, or I'm decently attractive, or whatever, or even if we're skewing that, we're really not, because we could have the tendency to do that, and that's normal, right? We could have the perception that we're more attractive. But if the idea of being attractive is in your head, and you have this attraction about you, what happens is, we also can treat people differently. Not just because of the way they're attractive or they're not, but because we have this mindset, I'm attractive, I can choose how I want to act, I can be flexible with some values, I could also not take things that would be a good thing to take into consideration, like an importance such as, like, how I talk to people, or how I treat people, or, how I, listen to others, care, share, an equality of, time together with someone, but no, this attraction piece can mold us into a type of person that maybe we shouldn't be, but that's a whole other thing to get into. Who should you be, or should you be doing anything? But the reality is, it changes not only our perspective of another person, and we change as a result too because of that. But if it's us that's attractive, we can almost feel so confident and almost feel like we're the best person, or feel like, you know what? I'm not going to choose you right now. Oh, all of you are choosing me? You're choosing to be around me? You're choosing to talk to me? Maybe we're not realizing that. Maybe we just feel like, we're popular or we're liked. We don't know how anyone actually feels about you as a human, but maybe that doesn't matter because, you know what? I'm already in this state and it's fine. I like feeling like I'm an attractive person. It gives me confidence and it gives me like this boost. And well, at the same time, even if that's true, and even if that could actually be friggin' helpful for you, which is why some people also change their appearance, they modify their appearance, they try to improve their appearance, because deep down, they don't really feel good about themselves, and they don't even realize they're doing that. But the reality is, the person who is already attractive doesn't really have to do much maybe about it, or maybe they maintain it, but you get the idea. It's a lot different if you're really trying to have this. And the person who's really attractive, it doesn't even mean they really even feel good about their own attraction level. They might actually feel like they're ugly because deep down, they don't feel good about themselves. So, of course, they could look in the mirror and they can put so much effort into their appearance, and it doesn't even... It somewhat makes them feel better about themselves, and they're going to put so much work. Look at all the work they're putting into it to perfect it. And the reality is, they might not even feel that good about themselves. And that's hard to even realize because they're so attractive. How could you not feel good about yourself? Well, that's the truth. A lot of people don't feel good about themselves. Which is why, if we find somebody attractive, you really think you feel good about yourself? You can't even be yourself and put yourself in a position of just being you. But no, we have to be someone else. We get to like a person by the type of person we change into. We don't get accepted to be who we are. Maybe that happens over time, but the reality is, look how it started. And the reality also is, if it's starting like that, maybe that's going to come and go. Is that healthy? Do you really get to find love? Do you really get to feel love? Look where you're basing it off of. Love shouldn't change, but people's appearance changes. So when people are very attractive to themselves, they might undermine, things that are important. Like, you know what? Because I have this false sense of confidence, it makes me feel really good. I can also talk down to people. And I could look at them right in the eye, like, what are they going to do about it? Not talk to me? Okay. Right? It almost gives this false impression like you're this better person somehow. And this is the sad truth, because not only when we look at people who are more attractive and we think, oh, they're this better person somehow, I need to meet their level, or I need to, be able to get noticed by them, or I need to be accepted, or, I like them, I want them to notice me, or whatever the thing is. It doesn't matter what it's about. It's like we're trying to be a certain way, you see? And people who are attractive themselves, and they feel it and they know it and all that, they're also acting a certain way. They're not allowing themselves to actually be themselves. They don't know how to be themselves. And even if they do not know how to be themselves, they call it themselves. But the reality of themselves is based off how they actually look. Not actually how they really feel about, some kind of an opinion. Not actually how they actually feel about, something that's important in the world. Not actually have much of an opinion. It's like they don't really put much attention into stuff like that. So it's like, and it's no doubt, well, this is the type of person that's going to be the result. And there's no doubt that this is the type of person we're going to get to know. And there's no doubt that we're probably very similar to those degrees. That we also have some kind of inability to be authentic because we have a superficial quality that changes how we think, feel, and act. And also, we think that's okay and that's normal. And we don't even realize it's occurring, which is the craziest part. We don't realize it's occurring, whether it's us being a certain way because we're this attractive person or somebody else we're attracted to. We don't even realize it's just so instinctive. And the idea is so it relates it all the way back to the beginning. Do you take this serious? Do you take this serious? Because if you don't, well, you're going to be who you are based off how you are, and that may be fine with you. But if you want to find something more meaningful, not only more meaningful within a relationship or just another human, I find something very meaningful about them besides just the way they look, but also myself, I find myself to be more meaningful, not just off my looks. Doesn't matter. Not to say that's totally irrelevant in life. Of course there's some kind of relevance to it, but it's like skin deep. It seriously doesn't give the story of your uniqueness, of your capabilities, of how you think, how you interpret things. It gives no meaningful significance to any of that. The things that are supposed to be important, the things that are supposed to connect us to other people, the things that are supposed to help us to, find things that are meaningful and valuable, as opposed to, no, I'm really just connected through pleasure. I'm really just connected through, how that makes me feel, which, because I'm already kind of broken inside or I'm already struggling, that's going to help that. And it's like, do you not realize that this isn't that valuable to you? And do you want to give it a value? And just to throw a spin on this, not to say, you need to be any certain way, but people will be more attracted to you because you no longer take into consideration the way they look as the ultimate thing. And people may even pick up on the fact that you're treating them a certain way just because of the way they look. When in fact, go ahead and start treating people based off, how they conduct themselves. Go off and treat people based off their morality system, off their value system. Go ahead and start treating people off of that and giving people everyone gets an equal playing field at that point. Every person, everyone, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they look like. You give everyone equality because you start to value, I value attraction. I think there's something important about it, but I also understand the illusion. I get it. And that's not nearly as important as how somebody conducts themselves. That's not nearly as important as if I want to get to know them. Man, are they a disaster type of person? And I'm stuck in this now? All because I'm insecure to not just be myself, but I can't look at someone else for just who they really are. Anyway, just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there about this whole attraction thing, and there's no doubt it is going to be whatever it is, but it's something that can evolve, and I think can actually help us in our lives to not only create real, true meaningfulness within ourselves of who we are, but with who another is, regardless of the type of relationship it is. Creates a more meaningful viewpoint, I think. Anyway, take care. Thanks for listening.